Hello, and welcome back to Books and Budgets. I am here to do the planning or the budgeting for the second paycheck in July. And I think I'll even sneak in a little midweek check-in with my ongoing paycheck because I'm actually caught up. So I am going to be budgeting for this paycheck here, which is in parentheses because the only person paying me will actually be me. Actually, I don't think that's true. I think I'm getting my summer school pay here, but that will all be going to savings. So, but it will be paying me for this, and then I'll send part of it to savings. And the other, I have actually placed in a high yield savings account. I opened it this week. I have transferred the money, but it is not yet available for me to do anything with. But I'm going to have to get used to the schedule for transferring things and when they are accepted and when they start collecting interest, and also how long it takes to get things out of there. So just bear with me. But everything that's in green is what we will be budgeting for paying today. So I have already filled in the categories that I have. Give me just a minute. Let me zoom you in and we'll get started on this. All right, here we go. So we are just filling out the budget column. This is our plan. So we always start with a planned $50 in our checking buffer that comes forward. Then I budget for $1,600 per paycheck. It is usually more than that. It is usually around $1,650 or just a little bit more. So, but this way I underestimate my income, I overestimate my expenses, and hopefully at the end it gives me a few extra dollars to play with or put in savings, and that makes me feel like I've accomplished something. It also is a really easy way to remember to live within my means, which was what got me started on all this in the first place. I do think there might be some additional things. There might be some sinking funds or other things, but since I'm not sure of that, I'm not budgeting for any of that today. So we'll just go with an income of $1,600. Okay. Now, the first thing that happens on my second paycheck is on the 15th. I have an automatic transfer to my savings account for $150 to cover insurance premiums that are coming out of my savings account. And this is my regular savings account at my local bank. I also have an automatic transfer with my union dues for, like I said, I underestimate my income, I overestimate these, so I round up to the next five. I know this is usually $31.25, but I budget $35. I transfer money to my son sometime after that. $35. I think it was originally $34, but I think it has gone up a little bit. $35 for the subscriptions that we share. Then on the 18th, I have YouTube TV is automatically deducted. I count that as a utility because that is my cable replacement. At some point, I may feel strong enough, brave enough, and like I have everything I need to get rid of this. But right now, one of the selling factors when I first signed up for YouTube TV, it was the only one of the streaming services, the live streaming services, that had PBS. And I can't get it by antenna where I live, or it's much more difficult. So I wasn't willing to live without Masterpiece Theater. Just couldn't do it. So some of you will understand. My life insurance policy that comes out at the end of the month, I budget $60. My hair appointment this month, it falls on the 31st. That means that next month in August, I won't have one. It will actually fall at the beginning of September. However, I have this set to where it comes out of the second paycheck, and I need it to stay in the second paycheck. So I will remove this in cash, which is what I do before I go to my appointment anyway, since now she's had to start adding a $4 fee for processing any credit card. So I just get it on my way over there. run through the bank drive-through and get it in cash. I will get it in cash or leave it in my checking account and get it in cash when I have it in September. Only when it wraps around, so to speak, and my appointment is once again after the 15th, then I have a point somewhere in there where I don't have to pay for that month, and that's an extra $114. That is my version of a magic month, is when I don't have to pay my hair care. So I do not know about when I will next see the lawn care guy. He did not come last weekend, which would have been 2 weeks. So I expect maybe I'll see him this week, which will be the 13th, weekend of the 12th or the 13th. If I do, then I probably won't see him again till after the 1st. But I take this out in cash and just keep it for when he comes. I did not put my due dates on these, but they are due, all of them, in August. I just pay them at the end, and I'll look up those due dates later. But my expected expenses, it's about $15 for gas to keep it turned on, so I give the rest of my $235. I budget together these two as $250 and my water as $50. So together, all three of them come to $300. If they come to less than that, I like to put the money down here into a utility sinking fund. I have a feeling, though, this month they may not come to less than that. They might come to a little bit less, but they could come to more. And if so, that's what the sinking fund is for. It's my way of levelizing my own billing. And if you've been here before, you've heard me explain that. So, and I budget $125 for my T-Mobile bill. At the end of the month, I take an additional $120 to go towards the insurance premiums that are coming out of my savings account. I could, and maybe someday will, automate that and add it to the $150 that is right here. But for right now, I leave it separate. This all total is $1,070. That's pretty much expected, and that leaves me with $580 to budget. So I bring that down here, $580. I usually budget $200 for groceries. Lately, that's been harder. I am more restless. I'm out and about town more, something. Maybe I'm just snacking more, but it's harder to hold to both of these. But it's summer. I'm not going to get on to myself too much. I have budgeted $30 for fuel. I may be doing more traveling, so I need to keep an eye on that and just be aware that that may be more. Entertainment it's usually $20. School doesn't usually come in here, but we are headed into the period of I can get back into my classroom and start getting it prepared for the next school year. And sometimes I have an idea or a decoration or some new thing that I want to implement, and I might spend a little bit of money. So I'm going to leave myself some. And then $25 miscellaneous just for anything unexpected or unbudgeted. All of these together, let me scoot this up a little bit, come to $375. And that leaves $205. Okay, I won't be budgeting anything for the utility sinking fund. I don't plan on it. I just use what shows up. So that means most of what I will be doing is right here in the sinking funds. Bring $205 up. Checking buffer always gets its $50. I record it as $50 of income here and $50 of outflow here, and it just stays in the checking account. Tags and taxes get $15. Subscriptions get $25. That should stay in my savings and accumulate month after month until I have to pay them again next June and July. So with those as my necessary expenses, or my necessary sinking funds, my necessary outflow here, this is $90 out of that, which would leave it with $115, I believe. That's to be divided between these 2, 4, 6, 7. And home maintenance is my priority. So I try to give it close to half or a little more. I'm going to give it $60. And then that leaves $55 between these. I gave everything $10 except medical. And when added all together, that comes to $205. And for now, that leaves us with our zero base. We've told every dollar that we anticipate having where to go. And we have a plan. We have things that we want to spend our money on. So if these are less, which I anticipate almost all of them being, for instance, I know my Netflix is $16.96, which means I have $3.04 right there. This is $56 and something, so I have another $3 there. Haha, this is funny. I put in $114, but I budget, like I said, I round up to 5. I budget for $115. That will now make my total correct. If any of you were checking and going 5, 10, 15, 14, wait a minute, that's not going to, now it should add up correctly. But what I was saying is I know that I will have leftover amounts in here, and these, assuming that I get through the groceries and eating out without wiping out all of that, these sinking funds stand ready for me to divide up whatever's left. They're here, they're ready for me to go. I've got them written in, and so that's what I do with them. If I were to have some kind of debt show up or some kind of doctor's bill or something, I can put that in here and pay it off. If I have any other savings that I wanted to make, I can put that here. I love the flexibility of this plan. Okay, I'm back. This is our budget for the second half of July. This is the plan. This is everything that I was planning to do for this. However, like I said, I am filming this on Wednesday night. I thought I might also slip in here and, let me get through this is all the paperwork for the end of, okay, here is my paycheck budget for the first half of July. And what I usually do with this is do a midweek check-in. So I have my expenses tracked right here from the 28th when I got the paychecks to the 8th, which is about halfway through this paycheck period. It ends on the 14th. I've put in all of these expenses. Now I kind of like to add them into here so that I know how I'm doing, how I'm progressing on this. Sometimes I do the check-in, and sometimes you probably have guessed that when I don't video a midweek check-in, it's because I didn't do one. It's because I wait until the paycheck period is over and I examine all of my expenses all at that one time in 2 weeks, and I put everything down and close out my paycheck budget. It's not the ideal way to do it, but I'm doing it usually no less than every 2 weeks or every 15 to 16 days. I feel like I'm about to do one of the old people things. I want to put on my granny voice, and I want to say, back in the day when we used to get a bank statement. Okay, you probably can't handle that for very long. Back in the day when I used to get a bank statement, it would have a list of every single check that I'd written, and I would go through and look at, make that match and look at my check register where I was writing things down and keeping a running total if I was doing what I was supposed to. I can't tell you how many times I let that lapse for months, not 2 weeks, for 3 months or more. And then I was so stubborn, I would keep every statement with every check. They returned the canceled checks. If you're young, you cannot conceive of getting this envelope in the mail from your bank, and it was this thick, and it had the, 80 checks that you had written in that month, because everybody took checks and nobody had debit cards. We had ATM cards, but they weren't debit cards. Yes, I'm that old. I'm write a paper check old. So, some of you will remember. But I was so stubborn, I would keep every one of those envelopes, every one of those checks, until I could go through them meticulously, one at a time, write them all into my check register. But that's a huge, huge job when you procrastinate it for months. This is better. Now, checking it once a week or twice a week is even preferable. Let's just say we brought forward $50 for our checking buffer, and this time I had a larger than normal paycheck because I happened to figure out that they had underpaid me for after-school tutoring, like in March or April. I think I mentioned that in one of my other videos. Well, I caught them. I called them. They said, yes, we showed that you worked 4 hours and not 2. We're not sure why you only got paid for 2. But they corrected it and got it into the next outgoing paycheck, which happened to be this one. So I have more than expected. All right. I'm not going to total this up yet because the paycheck period is not finished. I am going to add one thing. My son gave me some money because he was feeling like eating out one night, and he wanted, I think that was the night that we decided to do barbecue, and he really wanted barbecue. So he gave me $15 cash. So I'm going to add that in because it's definitely going to come out of the eating out. I'm going to put the plus 15 right here. So I know that even though I budgeted 75, I'm expecting to spend at least 90. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, what has come out so far is the $25 that came out automatically on the 30th and the $31.25 for union dues. My mortgage has come out for $844.33. I will tell you, my son is suddenly very interested in finance and personal finance, and he's heard me talk about how high my homeowner's insurance is. He's heard me talk about the fact that I do try to pay towards my principal every month. So he finally asked me, what is your mortgage payment every month? He had it in his mind that I was paying $2,000 a month. And when I told him it had been $825, but it went up to $844, he almost just looked at me with his jaw open, and he said, No, I've been giving you a pass because I thought this was really high. That's less than rent, Mom. I said, yes, I'm aware. He said, and you have to pay taxes on top of that? I said, and insurance? I said, no, it's all in there. And he rolled his eyes at me. So I get no sympathy. Even though, this whole budgeting journey started because if I'm not careful, even this, which to me is a generous paycheck, it's the most I've ever made, even this won't go very far on top of that mortgage, and I don't do very well planning very many other bills in the first half of the month because of that big one, big to me. So by the 8th, this is the only thing that's come through. The gym membership has not yet come through yet. I did take out $30 in cash for the lawn care. I haven't paid the Amazon Prime or the museum membership yet. And none of the rest of this can be filled out. I will show you that I have started keeping a tally on. I've been to the grocery store twice, and I need to go again tomorrow, at least for a few things to get me through 3 more days until the 15th. But I've already paid $170.85, which leaves me only $29, which is not even the minimum needed for a grocery pickup, which is what I usually do. So we can anticipate that going over. Eating out, we've eaten out 3 times, and we are scheduled to eat out this coming Saturday. I don't think there were 3 Saturdays. No, there weren't 3 Saturdays in this. I put in some extras. So there were 2 Saturdays, and we ate out. We're going to end up eating out 4 times. I have $8.84 left, including the $15 that he gave me. We won't be able to eat out for that, so that's going to go over a little bit. This is going to eat into probably that miscellaneous money. And on top of that, gas, I put $25 in. I've budgeted $30, but I know I'm going to need more, so I'll probably put another $25 in, and that will make me over $20 for this pay period. This is why it's a good idea to do a midweek check-in, just to be aware of these. I know that I have some extra funds, especially since this came in higher. However, there'll be times when I don't, or there'll be times when some people will anticipate what their paycheck is going to be, and then if you don't work on salary and somebody gets sick and it comes in for less, you have to know where you have to cut. If I know this, I don't have to eat out. We will, but I don't have to eat out. I could try to figure out how to get gas. I can definitely make sure that maybe if I have to roll in the entertainment money, or, if I have to, I can eat into this snowball. I don't want to, but I could. I know where there is some give in this budget. It's all I'm saying is it's good to know when you might need it. And knowing that the spending is going a little high, even though I'm only halfway through, and next Sunday will be when this closes out. So I've got about 5 more days. Knowing that can put some kind of either breaks or thought into how I spend the money from the rest of the paycheck. And thought is good. Doing things blindly is how I've been doing things, and that hasn't worked well for me, or it's stopped working well. Maybe it worked well for several years, but in today's economic climate, it does not. So there's my check-in. You already saw my budget with me. I've kept you long enough, but it feels really good to be caught up. In the case of my second paycheck in July, it's good to be planned ahead. That paycheck doesn't come in until next Monday, 5 days from now. So I am on track and keeping up with my finances. Anyway, I have another video that I am planning that will finally have some book content and a little bit, it'll be mostly book content with a little bit of budget content instead of mostly budget content with a tiny little bit of book content. So watch for that. I hope to get it out before the end of the week. And I will let you go. Have a really wonderful evening, my friends, and I will see you soon. Bye.